I want to share an interesting, it's more like not a sermon, I would say. It's more like my vision of what I'll be talking about. And I want, in order, if I lose the track of my words or my thoughts, I want you to know that I'm speaking today that God is in control of our past, of our present, and our future. But the main goal of my speech today, that we should focus on the present more than we focusing on the past and the future. So, because the rest is up to God. And before that, I want us to raise our hands and pray. Jesus, I thank you so much for the opportunity that you give us to gather together and on this beautiful day and discuss our views about you, about what you've done and what you're doing and what you will be doing for us and for our lives in the future. I thank you so much for giving us hope and giving us the Bible as the information for us so we can not fear the future and know what to do in the present, and we can know what happened in the past. I thank you so much for all these things and bless us for this time of researching your word. In Jesus' prayer, amen. Okay, so how do you feel? Feel good? Okay, good. It's not a lot of us, but I feel like we're going to be a great crowd today. So if you lay out the Christianity in a linear perspective, because you can look at the Christianity throughout different ways and different views, but if you look at the Christianity through a linear perspective, it's going to look something like this. If we can look at the slide. Should we have a slide? And I'm sorry for my drawing. It's not perfect. But so if you look at it sort of say from up top, it's going to look like this. The past, the present, and the future. And the smallest out of all of them is the present. Because you can see that the past started from the very beginning when God created the earth. And it moves on that scale. And the future, even though I drew it as a smaller than the past right now, because we have, well, 6,000 years, right? The past already. But the future extends all the way to eternity. So, but I want us to focus on that little line that says present right there. Because it's one of the most, probably in Christianity, disregarded things. Because Christianity oftenly focuses either on future or on the past more. But before all of it, I want us to open up your phones. It's not oftenly you being asked to open your phones in the church, but I do ask you to do that because we're not going to have any verses on the screen. So open up your phones. And find, if you use Bible pretty often, it should be in suggested. If you don't, you probably have to search for it in your phone. Type Bible, and it should pop up there. And we will open the last book of the Bible, which is Revelation 1:19. So open up with me if you can. And the pre-story that John sees Jesus, and Jesus tells him, so these are the words, Revelation 1:19. Therefore, write what you saw, which is the past, what is, which is the present, and what will be after these things. So Jesus covered the whole span of the things, past, present, and the future. God knows everything. We should keep in mind throughout this whole sermon that we don't know what really was and what will be. But God does. He knows everything. He controls everything. So I want you to keep that in mind. God is in control of the past, present, and future, and this alone is good enough for this sermon, and I could just say amen, and we should be done, because if God is in control of all of it, we are good, right? But I want us to talk a little more about these things. When we are children, we think that when we grow up, we'll be able to control things, but more we become older and older, we start realizing that there are more things that we are not in control than those that we control. Because really, it is true, and especially if you look at the things that happen around us right now, you're realizing, hey, we do not control anything. For example, many people realize throughout this pandemic that they are not in control of their breath. They cannot breathe. basically if they get sick, they're not in control of it. Somebody else has to control it. And we as Christians, we know for a long time now that when we've been created, the breath is given to us by God. And we breathe right now every second. So just think about it. You take a breath right now, you do it because God allows you to, or He gives you breath. That's what the Bible says, that He constantly continues giving us breath. So a lot of people probably realize throughout these times that it's one more thing that we do not control at all. We can't. And also the goal of this sermon is not to teach you, but to lead you to understanding that God is in control. And the second point that I want you to take from this sermon is that we have very limited time. Again, if you look at the graph, only that tiny line is that what you have, what you're in control of, or what you possess. That's all. You do not control anything else beside it. So let's talk about the past. And with the modern trends among young people, it's not cool to think about the past or to really plan for the future. I'm here, I'm right now, all I need is my coffee, and I'm cool. Don't touch me, and you have your own opinion, I have my own, that's it. But Christianity is a little different. It requires you to look in the past. And the reason is, I want you to open up Ecclesiastes with me. It's in the Old Testament. I know that our church has made us a little bit lazy by showing us all the texts. And sometimes we probably don't even know now where the books are located, but you have opportunity right now to open up Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 14 and 15. These are the verses we'll read. That will help us a little bit to understand. Oh, don't help us. Oh, thank you. I also know that whatever God does will endure forever. That's a beautiful message right there alone. Whatever God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken away from it. God has made its way so that men will fear Him. Whatever exists now has already been. Do you hear that? Whatever exists right now has already been. It's already been almost 6,000 years through the history of the earth. So we can know for sure that whatever happens right now, it's not something new. It already has been. For God will seek to do again what has occurred in the past. So it is important to know the past in order to know what to do right now at this moment of the time. So Bible should help us in that. And another reason why it's important to know the past, it's to answer the question, where are you from? Because a lot of people will tell you that humanity came from another planet. We are aliens. Or in colleges, they will teach you that we came from apes. But being a Christian, you know for a fact that you've been created from the dust. The same dust you can find outside this church or your backyard. And if you've heard these things before, it was hard to perceive how this flesh, it doesn't look like dirt, right? It doesn't. But if you take out your phone, does it look like dirt to you? No, it doesn't. But guess what? The glass had been made from the sand, and the rest was made from minerals. It's made from the dust. But it has so much information and entertainment, and you can call from it, and you can do things from it. So it's definitely not a surprise that the Bible says that human was formed from a dust. But you can only know by learning the past. And another thing that you can answer, why are you here, by learning the past. What happened before you came to the existence? For example, you learn from the past that Jesus came to this earth about 2,000 years ago and died and was resurrected and died for our sins. And you learn from the past that God took out His people from Egypt and saved them, and there are so many miracles that has been done. So all these things you learn from the past. Maybe you did not realize it before, but you do learn it from the past, from the history, from Bible. And this is why past is so important. And another thing that we don't have a lifetime to learn. We don't. By the time we learn, if you want to learn everything by your own experience, you're either going to be old or dead. because some things better not to try. They'll kill you. For example, you definitely probably never experienced jumping out of a plane without a parachute, and there is a reason for that, because it will kill you. So there are so many things in Bible, for example, that warns us, do not do this or do that for a reason to give us life. And actually we'll read a verse later on about this, that everything that God has done, everything is to give us life. So it is so important, so crucial to know the past and to learn it. And but we still do try things, and we do trial and error, right? We all do things even though we've been told not to do so. For example, me and my brother, we always, for some reason, were attracted to the power outlets. And I do remember that moment when my brother stuck the hair clip into the power outlet, and he was thrown away from the wall. The wall, guess what? We knew it's not good, but we still do it because we are humans, and this is what we do sometimes. But God's purpose and God's vision for us is to learn from the past. And this is for a reason. You have 2/3, which is called Old Testament, and the New Testament, which is 1/3 of the Bible. It has so many different stories that's left for us in order so we do not have to try it. We can just learn from the Bible. And this is amazing by itself. Or you probably have heard or done it yourself. You know that you cannot touch any metal object with your tongue when it's sub-zero temperatures. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck. And there is nothing, you cannot do anything unless somebody from outside will come and help you with hot water or something like that. And there have been people who damaged their tongue. Or I was always curious when I was little, I've heard this thing. You know how in the past, light bulbs, they were all the same shape and same size, because right now we have all kinds of them, LEDs and all different ones, but back then it was only one size and same shape. And somebody told me, hey, if you put light bulb in your mouth, you'll not be able to take it out. And I never dared to try it, thank God, because I know the stories when people did try it. And it required cutting of the bulb, and because your jaw gets stuck. Wide open, gets stuck, and you cannot unstuck it. That's it. So, there are things as we as humans want to try. And the good thing for us Christians that we have Bible that tells us so many things that are there, like, hey, do not do this, like 10 commandments or 613 commandments that total the Bible has. That tell us, hey, don't do this because there are consequences for this. Don't do this, there are consequences for this. Or do this because there are good consequences for that. So past is very important. And as a conclusion for this, you cannot live a purposeful life without learning your past. By the way, I just missed a phrase I always liked it, but I didn't know that Winston Churchill wrote it. Those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And we know for a fact the Bible teaches us that at the end of the world, there will be, the story will repeat itself. It will be like in the days of Noah or Sodom and Gomorrah. You know that, right? So basically what will happen? People will forget the history. As simple as that. And this is so cool for us as Christians that we have Bible that can teach us. And the cool thing also about Bible, you know that many emperors and different famous people rewrote history for themselves because they didn't want to look bad in history, so they rewrote the history for themselves. And the cool thing about Bible, it has many good examples, but it also has as many bad examples. God didn't hide from us like, hey, David was a good guy. He was an amazing guy. He wrote many songs. He was a great king, but he also sinned badly. And he was punished for that. And he lost his child for that. And so many things that happened. So Bible is an amazing book that teaches you about the past, not only about good stuff, but about bad stuff too. And it's amazing. You probably wouldn't find any other place or religion that will teach you that way as God does. This is an amazing thing. So you cannot live a purposeful life without learning your past, how it all started, how people failed, how they succeeded, how they went, went wrong, what they did right. In order to live your life right now to the fullest, you have to know these things. There is no other way for us, and it's a good thing that we have a way to do that by learning the Bible. So now, let's switch to the future. We'll leave present to the very end. So, future is tightly connected to the past, because once you know the past, where you're from, what you have done, probably as the humanity as the whole, where you came from, you know where it's gonna go in the future. If you don't know the past, you know how many people are there when you ask them, "Hey, what's the purpose of your life?" They're like, "I don't know. Get education, get married, have kids, enjoy my life, and die. And, well, what else to this life?" And only Christianity that offers you, hey, you know what? There been a better way designed for all of us at the beginning. Yeah, we lost it. Yeah, we are living in a sinful world right now. There are a lot of problems. But there is a good news. There is a way to get it back. And there is a way to live forever, not only to live this tiny little line or dot on this scale. There is a way to live forever. So, but you cannot know your future without the past. That's very important. And this is one of the reasons why God left Bible for us, so we can read it and know it. Because a lot of people would be like, why would I read the Old Testament? Why would I read Bible? Like, I know that Jesus came and died for me, and then that's good. It's not enough, guys. Bible is left for us so we can know the past, and Bible as well, along with talking about the past, it talks about the future too. And also knowing the future is all about faith. Faith that once you'll go back to your original purpose. And what is the original purpose? For example, happiness and the long life of your loved ones and your relatives. It is very, important for our times right now, because a lot of people losing their relatives, their loved ones, sometimes not even able to talk to them. And it's not relevant not only to right now, but to old times, because we don't want to see our grandparents go, or parents, or relatives, or even friends. But it happens, this life. Even us, at some point, will go. We get old, and we'll be gone. So, knowing the future, that there is hope for the future, there is a hope that your mom and dad will never get old, and they'll be there forever, and enjoy your happiness. And this is the future you hope for. A life without death or pain. How many people are struggling with pain? No hunger. Can you imagine that right now? Especially when we had New Year's or some other parties, and I was like, so much food, and we have leftovers and everything. But at the same time, there are people who's starving to death. So the future that we're hoping for, there will be none of the hunger. And homeless people, especially if you drive a lot through Seattle and Tacoma. I do. There are a lot of them. And when you understand that they've been also created in the image of God, and God had a totally different purpose for them, and they're struggling their life out, and they're like, especially right now when it's cold, and you think about it, the image of God that was designed to live happy and fully enjoy the presence of God, right now somewhere out on the streets without purpose in life and with a broken life. So looking into the future, again, it's one of the things to look for. Racial inequality, again, it's the thing that we deal with right now. Our country especially deals with it. And there will be no difference because it doesn't matter what color your skin is, you've been created in the image of God. No first world countries, no third world countries. That's again another problem, that if in some countries, if you've been born to poor family, there is no way for you out. we are blessed to live in this country that if you want to have more money, you work more, you get more. You want to become somebody, you go study, you go learn, and you do become somebody. In some countries, you can't. You've been born to that family, and you're doomed to live your life that way, on that level, the whole life. So in the future, and what God has promised to us, there will be none like that. And when Peter talks about seeing Jesus, I really like this verse, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 8. Again, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 8. Will bring praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. It talks about second coming. And now Peter talks about us. You have not seen him, but you love him. It's about me. I've never seen Jesus. I only wrote the past. I only wrote what Bible talks about Jesus, what he done in the past, how he lived, how everything went, how he died, how he resurrected, how he was resurrected, and how he's in heaven right now. I only read these things. I've never seen Jesus. That's what Peter says. You have not seen him, but you love him. You do not see him right now, but you believe in him. And so you rejoice with an indescribable and glorious joy. So when he'll come back, all these things that we hope for the future, that will be there. So we as Christians, can we have the graph, Taras? Can we have the graph back again? So we are as Christians, we live in between the past and the future, with the knowledge of the past and with the faith for the future. Those things, the past and the future, are equally important to us. And again, they cannot exist without each other. So past depends on the future, and the future depends on the past. But let's move now to the present, to the tiny little dot. And that line means you right now sitting right here. It represents all of us right now at this moment of time. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. It's just right now, right here and right now. So it's even more important than future and present. I'm not talking about our hope for the future. I'm talking about at this moment, that little line that says present, it is more important than past and the future. It's the shortest among those three. As I said, the past has been there for about 6,000 years, and the future will be forever for some. Those who choose the future with God. That's going to be the eternity. And I think that many religious people disregard this tiny thing as a present. And it's sometimes understandable because people look, at the past, they focus on the traditions, on being saved by law, and all these things, and they're concerned about the past a lot. And there are Christians that are concerned about the future. Hey, let's move out from this world. We are separated. We should be living totally different life and all. But I think the Christianity should be about be in the middle. So we live in the present, and the Bible says, if you open up Matthew 6:11, and you should know it by heart, and you probably do know by heart. It's part of prayer that Jesus told us. So in Matthew 6:11, it says, give us today our daily bread. It doesn't say tomorrow's bread. It doesn't say that give us a bread for a year. It says give us today's bread. And when there's going to be tomorrow you'll pray again, give us today's bread. So this is the Christianity that you live right now and at this moment. You hope for God and you pray every day. And this is quite frankly why they tell us you should pray every day. Because tomorrow is not yours. And here's a good example. Imagine that every morning you wake up. I give you $1,440. I wish I would have so much to give each one of you every day that amount of money. But just imagine that every morning you wake up, I give you $1,440 to spend for the day. And at the end of every day, I take back from you what you didn't spend. And that goes every day. I'm pretty sure that you make sure you spend all $1,440 so you don't lose any. And now you get 1,440 minutes a day. That's what everybody gets. 1,440 minutes a day. And you cannot borrow it from the past. You cannot take some from tomorrow, from yesterday, and you cannot save some for tomorrow. And you cannot borrow back from tomorrow some for today. But that's what a lot of people do, in a sense, when when we feel like our heart says, hey, go do something good for others, for example. And you'd be like, I'll do it. Well, once I get this amount of money, and once I do this and this in my life, I'll do it. So in a sense, we try to borrow it from tomorrow, which we can't. So you only own that line right there. You only own today. You only own 1,440 minutes. And this is, I think it's very important to understand, especially in a sense of Christianity. So, who likes to procrastinate? You don't have to raise your hand. Okay. We all do. I'm pretty sure we all do. We like to put our stuff for the future. But here's the thing. I want to talk about Christian procrastination. So, for example, if you read your Bible yesterday, you had a prayer yesterday. It was yesterday. It's not today. It's not yours anymore. So what happens today, this is why I brought to you this example. You cannot borrow minutes from yesterday. You cannot borrow minutes from tomorrow. You only have today. That's what you have. So, for example, if we talk about right now, you only have right now what you have. You have time to listen to sermon. So, and sometimes we choose to wind off with our thoughts to some other places because we have some business. And guess what? Life is hard. Yeah, it's busy. We all have plans. We all have things. But I do want to help us to realize that we live only in this moment, and it's important to. Let me bring this example. I always thought about this when people talk about YOLO. You only live once, right? They talk about trying bad things only in that case. Hey, you only live once. Why wouldn't you try that? You only live once. Why wouldn't you try that? But I would ask you to think in a Christian perspective. You only live once. Why would you waste your time? Like, for example, waste your day for something. No, not that way. Hold on. So you came here to church today, right? And I do sometimes also wind off in my thoughts somewhere else. I just think about something else. But again, if you really think about it, so we have such a great pastor. I really wanted to mention it. And we have a really great sermons that are going on right now, which is called what? Listening to God's story. And so we decided to go through through the Bible with this series, through the whole Bible. And sometimes I want you to think for yourself right now. Why wouldn't you tell yourself, hey, I only live once. Why would I waste my time? So during this sermon, I just want to go all in. I want to learn more about God, because what's going to happen tomorrow, I do not own it. It's not mine. It might not happen tomorrow, right? So these things are very important to think. Because, again, as I said, today is the only thing that you have. Our life is busy enough with other things during the week. And we only have basically one day a week when we come to God. And I want us to realize that why wouldn't we use it to the fullest? So, for example, why would you? I asked myself, why would I come to the church and do same and same again, week in and week out? So if you really look at our lives, we come to church and we do the same thing again and again and again. Ask yourself, have anything changed? Maybe you have things changed in your life, but ask yourself, have anything changed for the past year or couple of years? In my service to God or my Christian life, have anything changed? If not, it's a good way to ask yourself, hey, why wouldn't I live only once? Why wouldn't I try something else for God? Why wouldn't I try maybe singing? Why wouldn't I try to come and have a sermon, do a sermon? And some of you do that. But it's so important to understand that, hey, we get only one day. And this day is not about money, it's not about something else, riches. And as we've heard from a children's story, God will take care of the rest of the things if you take care of God first. So again, we have only that tiny little line to live. I know that you're busy enough and things in your life like school, work, and all these things are already plenty. Some of you have family to care for. Some of you have sending money to somebody who's sick or family living in other countries. We have plenty of things to do. But at the same time, I want us to understand that it's important to take care of, if you have opportunity, which you do, every Sabbath you get that opportunity to go all in on God. And you know what? The other thing that I thought, what Jesus did on this earth when he lived here, he basically also lived a life, so to say, you live only once. He was giving himself away fully. He was going to people that were poor, that needed him. He was going to people who needed healing. He was going to people who were disregarded by others. And sometimes, it's a custom that I have and most of us have. We invite each other to our home, our friends mostly. So I want us to think also, there are people who we probably never talked to or haven't talked for a long time. Why don't we think about those people? You don't have to do something big. You can, but you don't have to. There are people who haven't been in this church because of this pandemic for a long time. Why don't you text them or ask them how are they doing? Just those simple things, because we live in a world that teaches us to be a little selfish because we get so busy and we become so selfish. And I want us to look around and see that there are people in our church even that we don't talk to or we haven't met maybe. So it's important because this is what Christianity is. And also another thing that I've heard another pastor say, I was listening this week to his sermon, and he said, that what people are regretting the most, not the things that they have done, because only 13% people are regretting things that they have done. Oh, I ate that ice cream. How long you will regret that? For a minute or not at all? Well, people do regret things they have done, but it's only 13%. 83% or 87%, sorry. 87% people regret for the things they have not done. And it's so important to understand. For example, you'll be regretting someday. Let me suppose that you'll be regretting sometimes later that, hey, why wasn't I listening to those sermons more attentively in the church when I was younger? Why wasn't I doing that? Why I didn't learn to play? You know how many people already told me that they regret not learning to play instruments? Oh, I've heard it plenty of times, especially when people a little older, they'd be like, oh, I could have, but I didn't. And guess what? Regret for the things you have done, unless it's really bad, will stay for a short period of time. And regret for the things you have not done will stay maybe forever. So again, I'm talking right now, I could have been talking about in general in life, but right now I'm talking about Christian life. So there are things that you can do. And you definitely can, and you can try, and you can try something new. But for some reason, we are afraid of doing that, or we are not so passionate enough. And I want us to realize that we can do so many things. And I'm thankful, Monica, for singing. I really am, because we don't get that many people who want to sing. So I'm really grateful for you. So again, people usually regret more things they haven't done than the things they have done. And it's very important to understand. So, about the present again. You only have one day today. Use the most out of it. Not the most out of your phone, but out of this day. I'm not saying the phone is bad. We all do use them, and it's part of our life. Live like there is no tomorrow. Just imagine that there is no tomorrow. What would you do today? Like right now, in this Sabbath, but the rest of this day? Who would guess how many minutes we have left to this day? What? About 660 minutes left right now to this day. So, and especially when it's a Sabbath day. And I would suggest, hey, care for others. Do not plan it for tomorrow. Do it today. Tomorrow is not yours. You don't plan it for tomorrow. Do not procrastinate on this. Even if it's something small, as I said, just text message or a call. Use every opportunity to learn. So every Sabbath you come here, just go all in on this, because it's only a short period of time. If you really think about it, how long the service goes? Sermon goes for 30 minutes, and Sabbath school goes for 45 minutes. And if you really look at it, it's like a shortest time, because if you take your school or work, you spend your life on it. But if you really look how much we spend learning the past and the future and all these things that we learn from Bible, it's a tiny amount of. So go all in. Use every opportunity to learn. Bible school, Bible for every day. By the way, our church has right now Bible for every day, and it's not too late. The year just started. It's only January 23rd, and we have on our website, we have Bible being posted for every day. 3, 4, or 2 chapters for every day, and there is a pastor's explanation for 7 or 10 minutes. So it's definitely a short time that you can invest every day. Because you remember, right, that your prayer cannot transfer from yesterday or from tomorrow. If you do it today, it's only today, because all that you have is today. So remember, in today there is no yesterday or no tomorrow. Minutes cannot be transferred from yesterday or tomorrow. So again, my main goal of this sermon was that God is in control of our past, present, and future. But our goal is to focus on the present, on right now. Because today is all we have, and the rest is up to God. Once again, past, it's extremely important to know. Extremely important to know. And this is for this reason we have Bible. It's important to apply in our lives so we do not repeat things. And knowing your past defines your future. The future. Knowing your future is definitely less fear. And Bible says that the more we live, there will be more and more fear. People will be crying out of fear. What's going to be tomorrow? What kind of present we're going to get? What another pandemic is going to be there? So, more fear. If you do not know the past and the future. If you do know past and the future from Bible, there's going to be less fear. Knowledge of the past will define your present and the future. And also, your decision making. If you know the past, your decision making today will definitely be affected. And most important, your choices today will define your future. And I want to finish my sermon with these words. God knows and controls the past, the present, and the future. He is forever and He is love. And this is good news, because our future and the past and the present is in control of loving God. It is good to trust Him with our lives and our future, because He has been faithful in the past, so He will be in the future as well. God doesn't change. But He wants to work with you on your present right now. And you have about 650 minutes left to this day.